Thank you very much, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Brazil. I have the great privilege of serving as president of Trinity University and the equal pleasure of welcoming you to the first 2009-2010 Trinity University Distinguished Lecture. This series was made possible by an endowment gift from Mr. and Mrs. Walter Brown. Although Walter and Lenora couldn't be with us tonight, Walter's son, Walter Jr., is with us, and his wife, Catherine. Would you join me in thanking the Brown family? When our guest tonight took office as president of his country in 2001, he did so with a vision of a modern, democratic, non-fundamentalist Islamic Pakistan. Pervez Musharraf understood why democracy has remained dysfunctional in his country and took steps immediately to effect change. People at the grassroots level were empowered through creation of local government. Women were empowered through the establishment of reserved seats at every tier of the parliament. Multiple private television stations were allowed for the first time in the nation's history, and the media began operating independently from the government. Not surprisingly, as with all strong leaders, his actions were at times controversial at home and abroad. But following September 11th, the United States sought President Musharraf's support to fight the Taliban. He became one of our greatest allies in that fight, ridding his own government militants and directing countless raids against al-Qaeda throughout Pakistan. During his 7 years at the helm of his government, President Musharraf traveled all over the world, meeting many prominent leaders, top-level interactions that helped him develop a sense of the geostrategic realities of the world and its most dangerous regions. Those interactions also gave him the unusual ability to see the world through the lenses of both the West and the East, and crystallize his views and perceptions of key global issues. Tonight, he will talk about his views and the experiences that shaped them and offer some insights into the world as he sees it. Before we welcome our speaker, I'd like to announce that we certainly have among our guests tonight some who observe Ramadan and will need to leave at sunset. I think that's 7:45. For their religious requirements. Please feel free to do so. We welcome you both here, and we welcome your practice of your own religion. And now please join me in giving a warm Trinity and San Antonio welcome to Pakistani President Pervez Musharraf.
Thank you very much. Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. In this holy month of Ramadan, I pray for peace in the whole world. Mr. John Brazil, the president of Trinity University, all the faculty members, the students, and the members of the San Antonio community. It's indeed my great privilege and my pleasure to be interacting, to be able to address such an august gathering of students, faculty members, and staff here. I have selected this subject of the world as I see it, because I think we today are living in a globalized world, a very large village, where thanks to the communication explosion of television and information technology, information travels all around the globe, and every part of the world, every country gets affected by any incident that takes place in any other part of the world. Therefore, this being our common heritage, the world being our common heritage, we must understand global issues and address them and tackle them globally and domestically. So my effort in this lecture is going to highlight the major problems confronting the world and maybe suggest some solutions en route We have to show a collective will to address these problems. Now, the first question is, what are these problems? To my mind, the important problems are, first of all, political disputes and interfaith disharmony. Second problem is a problem of terrorism and extremism which afflicts our societies, especially the Muslim world. The third element is our nuclear concerns. And lastly is the economic and developmental inequities. Inequities which are visible in the form of water, food, and energy inadequacies in the developing world, in poverty and illiteracy in the developing world, and leading to mass migration within countries, leading to environmental hazards, especially in the developing countries, and finally exacerbated by a population explosion, especially in the third world. I'm going to touch on the important subjects more and less on issues which are not that important, but they are international issues, and I would then maybe cover them in the question-answer session, which I expect will be very lively. I expect very frank questions, especially from the students, and you should expect equally frank answers from me. Now, taking each problem separately, let me talk of political disputes leading to interfaith disharmony, first of all. It is, ladies and gentlemen, essential to trace the brief history of all these disputes, very briefly. The Palestine dispute, first of all, this is festering since about 6 decades now. And there's an emotional involvement and there's a sympathy with the Palestinians in the entire Muslim world. This indeed has destabilized the entire Middle East, if not the entire Muslim world. Hezbollah, Hamas are due to the Palestinian dispute.